Hello again, Ian Stuckey with Mastermind Games, back for more Malifaux, and this time Fuhatsu from the Ten Thunders. Golden Skin 09092. So, Fuhatsu was once a sophisticated, intelligent commander, and implied that he was one of the samurai, but then, after a certain incident, suffered brain damage that radically altered his personality. Gone was the sophisticated, intelligent individual. Left behind was a berserker with an unexplained dislike of wearing pants. Attended by two servants who care for him, Fuhatsu is a weapon unleashed, and his servants generally try to keep him point him in the general direction of the enemy. Oh boy, I tried to script this and I still screwed up. The cause of the accident, though, has been retconned. In 2nd edition Malifaux, where the Ten Thunders first appeared, which included Fuhatsu and the samurai samurai's steam Gatling guns had a special ability that caused them to explode, dealing damage to the bearer. And it was implied that this is what happened to Fuhatsu, that his gun blew up and caused the injuries that led to the brain damage. And there is real-world precedent for people surviving brain damage having radical shifts in personality. There's one notable example from the 1800s of a miner who got a pole used for shoving blasting charges down pre-bored holes, getting that pole right through his head, surviving and going from a sophisticated gentleman to a crude and vulgar individual. But in 3rd edition, it was retconned that Fuhatsu actually took a sniper's bullet to the head, survived, and that was the cause of his brain damage. He is a versatile, as in the versatile keyword, berserker now. And any Ten Thunders crew can make use of his physical might. I'm going to give the servants the same skin tone. Just for simplicity's sake, because he's going to have a fairly elaborate color scheme. A little too much water in some of this. I might have to do a second coat. But on a base coat, you're typically wanting to use just enough water to thin the paint, keeping your brush moist but not overly wet. And in in painting, you generally want to start with the lowest point on the model and work your way to the highest, generally starting with the skin and ending on the highest layer of clothing, which in this case is going to be Fuhatsu's armor. Okay. A little more on the biceps here. It's a bit too much water. It brushed off what I put on before. Alright, so I'm keeping it a little wetter than I normally would on a base coat right now, just for the sake of getting this other coat applied. Alright, I might have to do just a straight up second coat off camera on some areas of this skin tone, but that's a halfway decent start, so come back in a bit. Okay. Next, how do I want this. Leather white 09062. Get Fuhatsu's boxers. Because again, irrational hatred of pants. And some of this is nicking his Gatling gun, but that's okay. Be able to pick that out fairly easily. In fact, if anything, I need to be more careful about not nicking the skin on the servants as opposed to nicking the Gatling gun. And this weapon is clearly anchored to his waist. Okay. A little more right there. And then deep red 09002. Let's get the inside of his mouth. I'm going to take Woodstain Brown 09160. That'll be enough for now. I'm just going to use this to get everybody's hair. Just going to go with a very dark brown. And this is mounted on a 50mm base. Fuhatsu is a very large man. And Banshee Brown, this is a army painter substitute for Terran khaki. And Fuhatsu's servants are going to be wearing nice khaki pants. I may need to do a second coat. Some of these army painter colors need almost no water to thin them out, and it's taken some getting used to. I again bought some army painter stuff as a substitute when stores in my area stopped carrying my preferred brand, which is the Reaper Master. Huh. This guy is carrying a pistol. I wasn't sure at first, but I suppose it makes sense. After all, if they're expected to guide this very large, angry man into combat situations and keep him pointed where his officers want him, then it would make sense. And then, what I want to do, you know what, I'm going to take that leather white and have Fuhatsu's shirt match his underwear. So just got short sleeves peeking out, and a little bit showing under the breastplate. That's one color I wasn't certain on, but I intend to do something atypical with the highlighting on the breastplate to give it a little more color, other than conventional steel anyway. And that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and let that dry completely before moving on, and maybe put a second coat of that brown on the khakis, but we're getting there. Alright. Next, Shield Brown 09161. Get some boots and leather. Tie a bit more. Again, keeping my brush moist but not overly wet. Gonna start here. Fuhatsu's boots are kind of embedded in his greaves. Looks like he's got steel heels, so I'll keep that in mind when I get to his armor, but it's like a fairly normal lace up front there. Okay. And then gonna get these belts holding the Gatling gun in place. So it looks quite a bit like a girdle. Okay. And this looks to be spare ammo. Well, maybe it's not spare ammo wrapped around his arm, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do it in the brown anyway. Do his wristbands brown as well. And pick out the studs later, assuming I remember to. Being real careful right here because I don't want to get any of it on his boxers. Okay. And then there are straps here where the shoulders are connected to the armor. At least I believe this is meant to be leather. I've got too much water, so it's just washing off and getting down into the flesh tone. Okay, I think that's it for straps on Fuhatsu. The ammo belt, and I will be picking out the bullets later. Getting both sides of it. You know, the shadow there is really bad. Shadow, not shading, being a little mixed up. Boots here. This is perhaps another model where I maybe could have painted and then glued onto the base or done a partial assembly, but one, it drives me nuts, but another thing to think about on that is the super glue will interact with the paint and do some weird things, so you need to be mindful that's something that could definitely happen. This guy's shirt's kind of untucked. Probably happened because he's kind of wrestling with someone 3 times, maybe 4 times his size, trying to kind of like hurting a ticked off bull, I suppose. And then I will get the holster here, because this definitely, the more I look at it, looks like it's supposed to be a pistol. Okay. And then, so one more base coat I can do right this minute, and that's going to be Yellowed Bone 09143. Don't need a whole lot of it. Let's see if I can get kind of focused here. That's just going on Fuhatsu's teeth, and he's just got showing like that. Yeah. Alright. Let that dry up completely, and then I can start on some steel. So back in a bit again. Alright. True Blue 09017. I had a strong impression of just nice blue shirts and nice khakis on Fuhatsu's servants. A little too much water there. Okay, being real careful here. Now, there wasn't any ambiguity on where these handlers needed to be glued. Oh boy, the groundskeeping crew has started again today. There's nothing I can do about that. I live in a condo, so they come by once a week to mow the lawn and do stuff like that. But Fuhatsu actually has indentations on the back of his breastplate and on his butt, showing where these two need to be placed. That helped a lot, actually. Okay. 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 And I think I might need to do a second coat on that. And again, I might just go ahead and leave it so that some of that dark's on there. I'll make a decision off camera. And now 09206 Tarnished Steel. There's not going to be as much of this as you might think. Boy, their mower is really... It is one thing after another with these videos. It really is. I don't have technical glitches. I have unexpected noises. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a pistol here. Although, well, you would assume the pistol would be for the personal defense of that particular manservant. It's also possible he's under orders to put a bullet in Fuhatsu's head if he gets too out of hand. Back of the heel, too, since that's reinforced. or at least it looks reinforced to me, and, well, there are a lot of details on models that are easily open to interpretation. And yeah, it went a little wild there, but that's okay. It'll come out when I do the shading. Now, here, I need to think a bit on that Gatling gun, so I'll just start on his breastplate and just shine that up. I imagine if Fuhatsu were actually wearing pants, it would include shin guards and maybe a cod piece, but... Just going to do one section at a time here. Get the collar and being careful around the hands and the other skin tone here. Yeah, no, that was pretty out of sight on that last one. That's in no line of sight to the brushwork, but a lot of times I have found the best angles for painting and the best angles for filming are mutually exclusive. Okay, now onto the Gatling gun. I do these cables and the barrels. And yeah, this is flames coming out. The gun, what is the word for it? I know there's a more specific word than gunshot for the muzzle flash. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, there's muzzle flash coming out of some of the barrels on this, and actually coming out of the sides as well. A lot of heavier automatic weapons have that to vent the excess gases, and yeah, I think I'll be okay if I do the rest in bronze, so... You know what, I can actually go ahead and take, where is it, Cloudy Gray 09089, and get the Stonework. Well, no, actually that silver's still dry, so hold off on that. Hold off on that, but I'm just about done with base coats. Alright. Okay, back in a bit. Alright, last base coat. What do I do with it? Old Bronze 09197. Let's start at the base of the Gatling gun. It sort of has this pivot joint attached to Fuhatsu's belts. Just being real careful as close to the claw. So I think this is just an armband and not actually additional ammo. And thinking about it, Fuhatsu might not be clever enough to keep extra munitions on his person in such a way. Not anymore. That has too much water in it. Let's use the brush and absorb some of that. Reapply the paint here. Back a little in hand. I want to go as close to the skin as I can without touching it. And I'm not worried about getting this muzzle flash here because it's going to get picked out as a lighting effect after I get the shading done. I'm trying to stab my brush in there to get every little bit I can, though. And here I'm just going to get the reinforcing band. And in painting, if you do what's logical, what seems logical and practical, that can get you pretty far in painting. Not necessarily as unique, but sometimes the most mundane just works fine. Carefully. Alright, I am going to clean that off a little bit. Carefully, I just want to get the back ends. Carefully get the front. This is a very flimsy piece. I suppose I could have left it off, but that's not how I operate. Just the brass of the bullets here, and boy, this is going to be uber tricky. Okay, as I said, the best angles for painting are not necessarily the best angles for filming. Unfortunately, that's a piece that's not going to stand out. The underside anyway won't stand out too much. It's probably alright. It's as good as it's going to get, I think. Alright. I'm going to switch to a larger brush. And now I'm going to take Cloudy Gray 09089. And I'm going to fill in the stonework on the base, which is just a quick bit of custom sculpting I did. Just a layer of sculpting putty with a quick pattern carved into it while it's still wet, and the model glued on top after it's dry. Okay. And this is not as flat as I would have liked, but I am getting better, but there's still room for improvement. That's one thing. Perfection is a lie. If you think something's perfect, you will never try to make it better. You can always improve something, no matter how perfect it seems. There's always room to improve. All right. That's base coats. Actually, I need to do a little touch up on the white here. Real quick. Just a tiny bit by the belly here. A bit in the armpit. Honestly, okay. Let that dry completely. I come back, I can start shading. Alright, time to shade. aged pewter 09196. Yeah. Thinning the paint with 1 part water to 1 part paint into a wash. Gonna go over the bronze. I want a nice solid coat on this, but I do need to be cautious around the clothing. I am hearing bad noises from my computer. Whatever. Alright. Okay, and then it'll be easier to shade the ammo than it will be than it was to the base coat. Just kind of get the brush on both sides, and there we go. Next, pure black 09037. I'll go ahead and do the hair. Can get several things shaded now. Generally, we'll work from the highest point on the model to the lowest. And with particularly dark colors like this, you'll want 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. Just start on his servants first. Probably has a sizable entourage, and they probably drew the short straw. And can go ahead and do their shirts as well. So that's going to be Sapphire Blue 09016. Whoop, drop a brush. And just let the paint flow around. Your shading is going to go very easy. Okay, I nicked the box as well, so I'm going to take some just straight water, dilute it, and then dry out the brush and absorb it. And that didn't work out so good, but it'll be okay when I can touch it up. Just okay. Suppose I can take a gamble and do his teeth, so Stained Ivory 09142. Let's see if I can get that focus kinda. I just need the tiniest dot. Thinned. Applied, yeah, that's what I expected would happen. So I'm just gonna get the water out of the brush and kind of soak some of that up. Some of the paint's still in the teeth. And I'm going to let that dry completely before moving on. The drying time is going to be dependent on heat and humidity, so there can be considerable variance there. Back in a minute. Okay. Alright. Next, okay, kind of limited what I can do here, actually. Some of this isn't as dry as I need it to be. Alright, well, let's see here. There's at least a little bit I can do. So, Blackened Steel 09205. Go over the armor. Being careful in through here. I don't want to nick the hands. This poor schmo's hands are on the armor, not in it. And while poor can mean both being unlucky, unfortunate, or having little money, I imagine both apply to these guys. Right, and then just get the grip on the pistol there. And just do both sides of the cabling first, and then get the barrels of the Gatling gun. Okay. And red brick is 09001. Stab in the mouth there. Alright. Let dry completely and move on again. Okay. Next, the brown. So Woodstain Brown 09160. This one is about empty, but I should have enough to finish the job here. Start at the top of those straps and kind of work my way down the model. I'm a little rattled right now. While I'm waiting on paint to dry, I'm playing Warhammer Quest Blackstone Fortress and running the quest for the Hidden Vault where I gotten my teeth kicked in, like completely. As in, I cannot actually complete the quest and have to start from scratch. So, that's disappointing, but better luck next time. that's definitely not the best angle to see what I'm doing at. But again, the prime angles for painting and filming are often mutually exclusive. At least it seems that way for me anyway. So that's going to leave the khaki, the white, the skin tone, and the base, and I can actually go ahead and take some pure white, or matte white, and prep the lighting effects on the Gatling gun now. Yeah, the fire around here, it was getting better, and now it's getting really bad again, so it's all kinds of hot and smoky, and as if being sick this past week wasn't bad enough, now I can't really breathe too well again because of fire. I don't know if it's the Colorado ones or the California ones, because I tend to get the smoke from the California ones as well, so yeah. I didn't need to get that there. There we go. Let's touch that up a little bit. I got that kind of odd. Okay, that's a little better. And then right here, I want to get the burst, not necessarily the barrels. Okay, I think that's got it. So I'm going to allow that to dry completely, and then move on again. We're getting closer on Fuhatsu here. Alright. I can't quite finish the shading, but I think I can get close. Linen White 09061. Well, that is a bit too thin, but I can work with it. It's going to go on the cloth on Fuhatsu. Including his boxer shorts. Uh-oh. Let's get that absorbed. That was a mistake there. I can fix it easily, though. And Khaki Shadow 09121. I'm just getting a little paranoid about my system acting up. And just go over their slacks here. keep going for the wrong color as I do this. Alright. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to let that dry before I do the skin tone, but I can do the lighting. Fire orange 09006. And again for lighting, thin with 2 to 3 parts water to 1 part paint. Just go over all these. Bursts of flame here. Parody motivational poster I once saw online. Full auto. I've got a bullet here with your name on it. I'm going to keep shooting till I figure out which one it is. And I'm going to go ahead and fill in the barrels here. Getting the impression that they have been running very, very hot. Okay. Let that dry completely and move on again. Okay. Finishing up the shade with Golden Shadow 09091. And now when I say that, I have not forgotten for a moment about the Stonework. I could just get that at the same time. And sometimes older paints will get a little chunky. You can get it fixed up just fine though if you just work it into your water a little more. And if you have an old paint that's drying out, you got 2 good choices. You can try adding more water to the paint, like just put it in your bottle and shake it up a bit. The better solution though is to just buy some mixing medium and mix that in. These darker spots where it's a little splotchy, I'm not worried about. It'll come out well enough when I highlight in a bit. And some of that has gotten into this seam here. I'll try to absorb it a bit. Let's get his legs. And then faces. I don't know why, but for some reason when I see these guys, I think of an old sitcom, that old sitcom from the 50s, My Three Sons, which I've never actually, I don't think I've ever actually seen an episode of it. I've just heard it referenced in jokes. But if these are the guys from My Three Sons, what happened to the third one? My guess, Fuhatsu ate him. Okay. Let that all dry up. And I've already forgotten Stormy Gray 09088. Oh, good gravy. Good gravy. I am going to use a bigger brush. Got a little overexcited, thought I was almost there. Alright, thin that out. And just give us a once over, make sure it gets in the cracks and crevices here. Being careful around the feet to make sure to try not to nick them. Okay, there we go. There we go. Alright, let that dry completely now. Then I can fill in some eyes and go from there. Alright. Fill in some eyes with matte white now. All the shading is dry. Good move on. Just need a tiny bit, and this is a substitute for pure white in the Reaper Master series. I'm gonna use a tiny little brush. And Fuhatsu's got nice big eyes. I've got to watch it out about now. Right here. Okay, yeah. And he's got his teeth showing. It was kind of grimacing. Okay. It's gonna be super tricky right here. Just carefully filling in the sclera. Yeah, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Clean out brush. Then pure black 09037. Just a little tiny dot for now. Just carefully filling pupils. It's going to be real tricky on these guys here. Because they're not looking, they're looking straight ahead, but their eyes are kind of... That's as good as that's going to get. Okay. Now switching to a dry brushing technique. Blood red is 09003. And taking a ragged feathered brush, something along the lines of that. Straight paint, no water. Rubbing most of it out on a paper towel until it looks like there's nothing left. And dusting the area to be affected. Going against any raised areas. So, tongue. This red triad I'm using here is a bit subtle, but it works nicely. Yellow, or no, creamy ivory 09144. When you're highlighting, this dries very quickly, almost but not quite instantly. And this is clogged, so paper clip down the nozzle. So that means I can go right away into the next color without any appreciable wait time. And what's the tiniest one I have left? Probably that one. Golden highlight 09093. My computer's making bad. Oh, yeah, my computer's making bad noises and it dropped 16 frames before I could blink. Joys of technical difficulties. The joys of technical difficulties. The more technology advances, the more it's turning out like that Mel Brooks movie Spaceballs. It's had a bit too much. It seems I've rubbed off some of that. Some of the base coat, I don't know how that happened. It should have stuck on there, but whatever. And again, the optimum angles for painting and filmmaking are two radically different things. So my focus is on the most readily visible areas. Yeah, just that utter expression of sheer rage. And in terms of highlighting, Fuhatsu is getting more attention than his attendance. And next, let's do the hair with Shield Brown 09161. Just a little bit there. Ghost White 09063. Yeah, this will do nice. And again, my focus on the more readily visible areas. Use a little extra paint in the brush back here to cover up that flesh tone that seeped into it during shading. Next, how about Driftwood Brown 09162 and get the leather? No, not yet actually. I need to get the workman's pants first. So khaki highlight to 09123 on that one. This one's almost cached. There we go, that little bit should be plenty to do what I need to do. A lot of this is about doing things in the right order. And on highlighting, you're going to go from the lowest point on the model to the highest, just like with base coating. I want to make sure to highlight those pockets on the back of his pants. But shading, you want to go from the highest area to the lowest. Alright. Now the Driftwood Brown 09162. The right brush for the job, that one. hearing bad noise so far. I haven't dropped any additional frames, so it's good. Belts and bracelets and wristbands. So at the front, but I'm not going to worry about the sides there. Sky Blue 09018. See, that's catching the wrinkles quite nicely, making them pop very nicely. Oh boy, I'm turning my water cup into a bit of a sprinkler here. Alright, next is going to be, I'll go ahead and do his armor, Coppery Orange 09102. So these are the kind of effects you can do if you play around with your shading and or highlight. And this will give a nice orange, 10 Thunders orange sheen to it. I really like playing around with the colored metallics. It's a lot of fun. I've got a bit on his shirt. Okay, I'm gonna go to a detail brush real quick here. I'm actually better for shading now, and just real quick. It's a little that goes to white and kind of touch up in here and on the front. And then use that coppery orange and just too much water. Absorb. Okay. Problem averted. Just cover up back here a little bit. Okay, going back into my dry brushing. The greaves will match the breastplate. While not doing as much on the back, I just want enough to show that there's a patina on here to color it. I just realized I forgot to do the ammo belt, so back into that, I'm just going to do the upper part here quickly. Okay, now True Silver 09207. A little bit there. Cabling and gun barrels. I want to make sure I give a light dust in the front as well. Now, Tarnished Brass 09198. Almost there. bit of attention to the bolts, just enough. So this, though, is going on the cannon. And I'm not going to worry about the band in here with all the muzzle fire coming out. And I see I need to do a little more of that white just on here to touch up. Now the last highlight, Misty Gray 09090. I can use a fairly large brush on this. Okay, and just a couple little details now. Lemon yellow 09009. Doing a little pattern on Fuhatsu's boxers. Let's make sure things are looking okay over here, reasonably well. Using the same amount of water as a base coat, keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. Just going to paint. Just real abstractly. Okay, I'm resting my hand in a funny way. And that's good enough for that. And a little Marigold yellow 09007. Just kind of a light orange color. Just little duckies. And that one's beak down there. And this is kind of a, when I was thinking about patterns for Fuhatsu boxers, an old episode of that show Happy Days came to mind, where the boys are going in for a mandatory physical for a potential Vietnam draft, finishing up with pure black 09037, and one of them has ROTC underwear, another one has little duckies, the third has a big ant, as in picnic ant. That's one of those oddball things I saw that stuck with me for a while and popped back into my head. I haven't seen any of that show in literally decades. So with this pure black, this will be the last coat. Flathead brush. And just enough water to thin the paint, keeping the brush moist but not overly wet. Lining the edge, trying to go up to the stonework but not over it. And definitely doing my best to avoid hitting any parts of the actual models. So, I was torn on what to do with Fuhatsu's boxers for a while. You know, hearts, polka dots, other symbols, and yeah, the Happy Days reference was most entertaining. So the duckies are pretty abstract, but they get the point across well enough. And that is it. Fuhatsu from the Ten Thunders. My hand's really shaking bad today. I'm not sure why, but switching factions. And until next time, I am Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games, signing out.